My name is Samantha McManus. I'm interviewing Jack Bivens on March 28, 2017 at Sparta Public Library in Sparta, Illinois. Where and when were you born?
I was born in Fairfield, Illinois in November 23rd, 1931.
Who are your parents and what are their occupations?
My mother and father are both deceased, but it was Everett Bivens and Myrtle Lucille Bivens.
Who are your siblings?
Jack Paul is my son. Marjorie Wagner is my daughter. My oldest daughter is Melissa Gross.
Which, if any, served in the military?
None of them.
What were you doing before you joined the service?
I was in school.
And what year did you join the service?
February 1951.
How long did you serve?
3 years.
Where were you living when you joined the service?
Chester, Illinois.
And which branch of the military did you serve?
United States Marines.
Did you enlist or were you drafted?
I enlisted.
Why did you choose that specific branch of the military?
Well, there was a group of 5 of us wanted to go join the service. The Korean conflict was going on, and we thought we were going to be getting drafted before too long, so we just decided to try to go up and get enlisted. 5 of us went up to St. Louis to enlist. One of them had eye problems and did not meet the grade for being in the Marine Corps. He passed the Navy, so he went in the Navy. The other 4 of us went in the Marine Corps.
What happened when you departed for training camp and during your early days of training?
Well, I'll tell you one thing, it's an eye-opener. You think your mom and dad looks bad at home, you go in the service, and about 10 weeks later you come home from boot camp, and mom and dad look good, especially dad. So it never gets so bad that it can't get worse. I didn't get abused or anything like that, but it's just a different lifestyle. Everything is routine. It's got to be done right, or you do it over and over and over again until you do get it right. And it was just a different lifestyle than what I used to at home. I had discipline at home, but nothing like the Marine Corps.
Do you recall your instructors?
I remember one of them, name was Duffy.
What were they like?
Pretty hard to say. They was firm, but really they had a mission. They had to tune you up from civilian life into military thinking that you do without taking time to think. You never take time to think when you're in service. If you do, somebody's going to get hurt. It's either you or your buddy. You act from reaction. It's just a training thing, and it's instilled in your mind. And things were instilled in your mind, and some things were instilled in my mind in 1951 are still there. I still remember my serial number, 1178721. I can't remember my social security number, but I can remember my service number. That's just one of the things. There's a lot of other things that's instilled in your mind. If not, you kept repeating it and repeating it and repeating it until you got it right.
What did you think of basic training?
When I was there, tough. After it was over, then I realized why it was the way it was, why you have to have discipline, why it controls the situation. With no discipline, you have no control. Without control, you got a problem. So it's no different than life skills. And it carried on into me being a policeman for 38 years. The same type of thing, if you have to have control. So,
What was the worst part of boot camp?
probably the first day. I knew then I was in for it. It's too late to back out.
Did you receive any specialized training? If so, what kind of training?
Nothing that wasn't the norm. I mean, later, after boot camp, I got specialized training because I became a seagoing, what they call seagoing Marines. I was stationed aboard a ship, aircraft carrier, for almost a year and a half.
How did you adapt to military life, including the physical regimen, barracks, food, and social life?
Well, you finally realize that you're part of a organization. You do things together, and you fit in. It's like a team concept playing basketball or football. If everybody does their part, things is easier on everybody. And you learn what teamwork's all about.
Where did you serve?
Well, I started out, of course, I went to boot camp, and then I came home, and then I got assigned to what they call seagoing, where I was stationed aboard ship. I went to Norfolk, Virginia, to go into specialized school there to teach you what your duties are going to be, what's expected of you when you're going on these ships. And basically, that was guard duty, was the basic idea of that. But then we did have to get out and dress for any type of dignitary that would come aboard the ship or anything. You had to have a special reception when they come on, a little ceremony thing. So you had to have dress blues and all that stuff, and that make you nice, shiny and pretty. But then from there, our first cruise we took on our ship, it had just come back from Korea, and when I went on it, and it was I think it had been back 2 or 3 weeks, and we went down to what they call a shakedown. They go through and make sure that everything's working on the ship before they go out, like to the Mediterranean. And we went to the Mediterranean, and I was there floating in and out of different ports. Went to Gibraltar, went to France, Italy, Sicily, Algeria, Turkey, then came back, and been back about a month or two, and went to Nova Scotia. Up there, it took about 3 weeks to go up there and back, and then we went to the Mediterranean again. And when I come back that time, that was a 6-month cruise, so that was right at 2 years, better than a year and a half on the ship. And they're going to decommission the ship. I got transferred to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, where I started taking infantry training, formations and what have you, and rifle training and some combat training. Then they reactivated the 3rd Marine Division. I was sent then to Japan to await the signing of the truce in Korea. If they didn't sign the truce, we were going to go from Japan over to Korea and escalate the war at that time.
If you served abroad, what are some memories of the experience?
Well, I went to Nice, France, and down on the French River area, sunbathing and swimming, and wasn't too bad of a deal. So got to see some of the world. I couldn't afford to go. When I was they had these tours up. We pulled into Italy one day. Now I'm making about $90 a month. So we pulled into Italy, and they had these tours, like you can get a tour through Easy Travel or what have you. Similar to that. You could go to Rome, from where we was at, from Naples, Italy, go to Rome, get first-class hotel accommodations, all inclusive, the whole 9 yards, for 10 days. It cost you about $200, $250. Those trips today would cost you several thousand. And I'm making $90 a month. Now, how many trips do you think I can afford to take? And I'm sending home a war bond every month, and I had to have and I paid insurance, life insurance, paid a life insurance policy while I was in there. Now I think they furnish you one, don't they, Jeff, or do you know? They furnish you a life insurance policy now. 1951 to 54, so I've still got the insurance policy, still paying on it.
What kind of friendships did you form while serving, and with whom?
Well, I met a young man from Louisville, Kentucky. We were good. We were good friends, and I drove over there a couple of times to see him. And I had one in Nashville, Memphis, Tennessee. I had a chance to be down in Memphis. I looked him up, so we had a little get together, and those were the only two that I ever looked. Well, I had one in Fairmont, Illinois, Fairmont City. I looked him up a couple of times. His brother became a police magistrate in Fairmont City, and I was working that area as a state trooper, and I'd send tickets to him, so I got to see him quite a bit.
How did you stay in touch with family and friends back home?
My letter. Every once in a while when I got around the phone, because you didn't make a phone call off the ship to home, unless it was an emergency.
What did you do for What did you do for recreation or when you were off duty?
Oh, if we'd go out to Virginia Beach, we'd go down to the beach and drive go-karts up and down the beach, go swimming, sunbathe, things like that. Like anybody else in service, not all of them, but had to go down and get that beer, had to have a beer once in a while. You're away from home, you're gonna do things. I'm no different than anybody else.
What was your most memorable experience while serving?
I don't know, probably the best was when I did that down in East France. I enjoyed that. It's beautiful down to Monte Carlo, what area. That's just a place you dream about going today.
What did you think of the people you served with?
It's a good group of guys. I mean, you like I said, it's kind of like a football team or basketball team. You get together as a team. You're a unit, and you do things together, and you stick by one another. You just, if it's just like your best girlfriend or your boyfriend, you're just going to be a part of that group. There's only 75 of us, and now when we pulled into port, we'd take the air wings would leave the airplane, or leave the aircraft carrier. They would go land on land, and we'd have what they call a skeleton crew. We'd have probably 25 airplanes and about 2,500 people. Well, then when we left the port and went out to sea, they brought these airplanes back on, and then we jumped up to about 4,500 people. So it was just, it was kind of like the Marines against the Navy, but then you made friends with some of the Navy personnel too. I was in there with the last year I was on there, I was on the guy from Chester that I knew from childhood on. He was stationed aboard the ship. And he had a key to the officer's food locker, the refrigerator, so I had a whole lot of steaks. He'd get the steaks out of the freezer, and we had a place to fix them.
What was the highest rank you ever achieved?
Sergeant.
What ship or ships did you serve on?
I was on the USS Leyte, CV-32. That's an aircraft carrier. they're all obsolete now because they have these jets. We had the little Phantom jets on our ship, but they're nothing like the ones you see today. What are they, F-15 or something, Jeff, that's the name of them? And see, our flight deck was straight away. The ones today are on a cantilever, and ours was straight away. And to stop the plane coming in, if his tail hook didn't catch that cable and stop him, he would go up and hit other airplanes. So that was a lot of money gone. So they put the wrecker, the big crane wrecker they had, they put that across there, and that would stop him, so that they wouldn't tear up any more planes. And then some of them didn't make it. And some of them would take off, they'd start to fly, and they'd throttle it up, and about the time the engine died, they'd go down in the water. You stand there and watch them going by, trying to get out of the plane. And you had to go fish them out of the water. Some made it, some didn't.
What were your duties while on board ship?
I started out just a regular guard duty, and then I got to be what they call a gun striker. I had a tub of guns, the 20 millimeter, twin 20 millimeters, and I was in charge of that tub of guns. There was 4 of them in there, four twins, and I had to take and keep them clean. I had to keep the magazines all loaded with ammunition, and that was my job. It was like an 8 to 4 job every day. Very interesting. And about the time you get all your magazines loaded up, change of orders from the gunnery guy in charge of gunnery, and you had to take all the bullets out and reload them back into the way they want them. A tracer bullet and an armor person bullet and then something else and something else. Back again, you had to have a routine. And then they'd check you on Fridays. And they'd pull any one of those magazines they wanted to out of there, and that ammunition better be in the right way, or you're in trouble. There's again, that's just discipline. Discipline. That's one of the best things that I learned in the service, was discipline. I thought my dad was a disciplinarian, but no, they done all right.
Were you ever stationed on land?
When I was down at Camp Lejeune, I was stationed, and when I went to Japan, both those were on land.
What were the living conditions on board like?
On board? Well, everything was bunk beds, and they had a metal frame like this, and a piece of canvas, and released around the edge. It had eyelets in the canvas, and you took rope and roped it to this metal frame, and you just had a piece of canvas to sleep on.
What was the longest cruise you took?
6 months cruise, 6 months. From the time we left Norfolk, went to the Mediterranean, made our ports over there and stops, and then come back for 6 months.
What kind of specialized training did you receive?
Just what to do when I board the ship there, what is expected of you on the ship. There's nothing that anybody going on the ship would have to learn.
What kinds of missions did you do?
None. I didn't do anything. Except like rehearsals. You go on these shakedown, what they call shakedowns, but just like a rehearsal for if you was in combat or combat conditions, or if you was under attack. We'd rev the engines up to what they call if you're under attack, you go so many knots. Actually, we'd be throttling out there at about 24 knots, and we'd kick the thing into high gear and start to get up around 30 plus knots, and the whole ship would vibrate. But that's what they had to do. That if it vibrated too much, they'd take it in and redo it. They're like you're going down the road and the wheels are out of balance. They're vibrating. You got to do something about it. So, or you're going to have trouble.
How did you get promoted?
Just took a test and passed the test. I felt like I was qualified for more authority.
What was it like being an officer?
I wasn't an officer, I was just a sergeant. You started giving orders then, but you still remember how it was when you had to take orders. You tried to be fair. I never asked the men to do anything I wouldn't do.
Did you like being a sergeant?
Yes.
What were the perks of being a sergeant?
Yeah. I was a squad leader, so I had a squad of men under me, and I had to train them in ways that I wanted to be trained, so they'd be part of the overall picture. I didn't want them doing one thing over here and somebody else doing something else. We had to do everything together, so you're trying to constantly dovetail these people together so they go as one unit. Can you imagine a football team, 11 players out there and go 12 different ways on a play? You wouldn't go nowhere. You do it as one. Everybody does it on a count of 4, and everybody moves such and such a hole. There's a slot here. That's where you block. If everything goes according to plan, they say that they tell me that every play in a football game is a touchdown if everything goes the way it's supposed to go. And that's when you got discipline. And it'll move better if you got discipline. If you're supposed to block for me, you block for me, I'll get another step down the road. And if he blocks for me, I'll get another step. So if everybody does their part, that's what the military is about, is everybody doing their part.
Where were you when your period of service was up?
I was in Japan, and they shipped us back because we were getting close to discharge date. And we came into San Francisco. That was you talk about a memorial thing to remember. Coming into the United States and seeing the San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge and passing under it. You knew then you were home. And it's just a feeling about, I know I'm home now. I was all the way from California back to Chester, but it still felt like home.
How did you return home?
One of the guys I went in with had been stationed in California, and he got to go back over to Japan, the same thing as I did and we ran into one another over in Japan. When we were grouping this camp to come back, I told my buddy, I said, well, I think I know that guy. It was raining a little bit, he had his cap down like this, and he had his shirt collar up, so it's kind of hard to tell him. Hadn't seen him since we went in almost 4 years. And he had a car in California, so we rode home in his car. Made it nice. Drove basically straight through. Just kept changing drivers. And then when I saw the lights of Chester coming out of Perryville, I knew then I was home. Cried all the way from Perryville to Chester. All of us did. Nobody said a word. Just cried.
How were you received by your family and community?
In the community, well, I thought pretty well. I first got home, like everybody else, in 1954. War was over, everybody coming home, nobody had jobs.
How did you readjust to civilian life?
Well, I went to work, and about a year later, I got a chance to go to State Police Academy, and I took advantage of it. Became a policeman for 26 years with the state of Illinois. And then I quit. Well, I quit and ran for sheriff, was unsuccessful. And the city of Sparta was needing somebody, so I applied and got the job. Another 12 years there.
Why did you decide to become a police officer?
Well, basically about the only thing I knew after 26 years. But I mean, there again, I like the unit atmosphere of working with a team, and the state police is a team. City of Sparta, you've got to be a team. Any law enforcement agency has got to be a team. You can't just take 10 guys and go out there and wander around. You got to have some sort of discipline and control.
What was the biggest surprise about the civilian workplace?
I wasn't really surprised. I mean, outside wasn't any jobs available when I first came over to service in 1954. I went to work at a filling station, $1 an hour. I got a job at the state police, $325 a month, 6 days a week, 8-hour day. So I went from $1 an hour to about $2 an hour. There wasn't much of a difference.
Have you remained in contact with or united with fellow veterans? If so, who?
None of them that I served with. You know, I had the one I told you had the car in California. Eventually down the line became my brother-in-law, and he's deceased now. So, I mean, we stayed fairly close, but now I'm still close to them. Would be my sister-in-law now. We're close.
Are you a member of any veterans organizations?
VFW.
What have you done since separating from the military?
I just been a policeman. And a happy retiree.
How old were you when you joined the military?
19.
What was your most frightening experience?
Well, I didn't have too many of them. We never did do any combat, so I don't have any of that to go with. I think I lucked out by getting the sea duty assignments that I had. I feel like I'm very fortunate. That was not the common place for the people to go into in the Marines to wind up on a ship. We had 4,500 of them there, and 75 of them were Marines, and all they did was guard duty. So we would guard the prisoners on the ship. They'd get in trouble, and then they'd give prison time or brig time. And when we were out to sea, we just let them out, because where were they going to go? Jump in the ocean, swim? So they wasn't any threat to anybody. But when we get ready to pull in, we had to go get them, lock them up until we got ready to go out to sea again. So you might go a week without anybody in there, and then once you start working back again and getting that assignment.
Was there any part of your job that you especially enjoyed?
I'm really proud that I've been part of that and be a part of a organization such as the Marine Corps. I feel a sense of pride of that, integrity. Instill that in you, but I mean, you finally get, it's just like, it just becomes normal to you. It's like second nature.
How did your service experiences affect your life?
It showed me what forming a bond between individuals and the team concept, buying into the team concept. That has helped me throughout my life. Everybody got to be a part of something. I really believe that. I truly believe that everybody should be a part of something. If it's no more than just, like if you want to be a nurse and you become friends with a bunch of nurses, you know what your part is, they know what their part is. Together you get the job done. Same thing in the service.
What key knowledge, skills, abilities, and experiences that you learned from the military service would you say are the most valuable?
That one of learning, nobody's an island. Nobody stands for themselves. Everybody leans on somebody, learns from somebody else, and you become like a well-oiled machine. When you're doing things as a group, it's a lot easier on everybody. Everybody knows their place, everybody knows their part, and things move.
How has your military service impacted your feelings about war and the military in general?
Well, I don't have too much to say about it because I wasn't in war, but I don't really care about war. I think it's useless, senseless, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. It's no different than arresting somebody. Sometimes you have to do what you have to do. I didn't like arresting too many of the people that I arrested. If I could work with them and talk to anybody that knows me, they'll tell you that if I could give you a break, I would. But if I couldn't, if you did something to embarrass me, you got a ticket. Because I didn't like that. If you did something right in front of me just to embarrass me, to make you look cute, to impress all your friends, I impressed your pocketbook or depressed it. And I tried to give people breaks, and I would rather give people breaks. And I've got people come to me yet today, and I haven't been a policeman since 1995. But I've got people coming to me today and thanking me for the breaks that I gave them when I was still working. And it's kind of like a school teacher. When you go back and thank your school teacher for giving you a break or helping you do something when you didn't teach, that's a paycheck. They can't buy anything with it, but it opens up their heart. And I feel the same way when people come up to me and thanking me for giving them a break when they was younger. If I could change your life around, I would try to do it. And to this day, I still like to do that.
What message would you like to leave for future generations who will view this interview?
Don't be afraid to get involved in something to make a positive change in somebody's life. Those are rewards you cannot buy them. You earn them.
Is there anything you feel like we haven't discussed or should be added to this interview?
No, I can't.
This concludes our interview. Thank you for taking part in this interview, and thank you for your service.
Thank you. 2 minutes.